I'm starting a little early. Good morning to anyone who is on. As always, I gotta check the stream health. Everything looks good. Twitch is looking good. And then I just gotta pull up the notes. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I have this going in Discord in case anyone wants to hop in there and listen. Pull up the old notes here. I guess I'll put them here. This is the best place to put them. And then for my chat, what's the best thing for me to do? I guess the best thing would be this. Hey, what's going on, Materia? Knox of Spades, how are you? I hope everyone's having a good Saturday morning or afternoon. I had a busy day yesterday, and then I was knocked out. I woke up at 8. I forgot to take my notes for this because I'm not really good at going off the head, so I'm probably going to miss a lot. I just tried to jot down some important pieces. And then mostly I love to hear what you all, are talking about. So I really, really enjoy that portion because I love the show, but I don't always get everything right. And I do miss a lot of things. So, excuse me. Ooh, so we are here because season 2 started on Thursday. Probably one of the most anticipated shows for any fandom, and I don't consider myself in fandoms. Like, I watch the shows, but I don't participate in like fan fictions and stuff like that, so I couldn't consider myself as big as a fan as a lot of people. But I was definitely really anticipating season 2 because season 1 was so good. And if we rewind the clock, everyone who's been with me since I started watching this show knows it's funny because the first time I watched episode 1, I didn't like it at all, and it wasn't because the show was bad. It was just because I was watching it and not watching it for what it was, but watching it for something that I wanted it to be and thought it was. And it all just goes back to me watching What We Do in the Shadows, and one of you telling me, hey, you like um, this show, you like Taika Waititi. Well, he worked on this show, Our Flag Means Death, and he's actually in this show. So all I thought about was Shadows and like Thor Ragnarok around that time, and some of his work that was just out. So I thought this show was going to be similar to that, and it's not. It's a totally different show. So I reacted to the first episode. Everyone was like, you got to give it a chance. So obviously, I always give shows 3 episodes, and it's amazing. So I'm glad that we're all here together. Um, so yeah, briefly, my thoughts on what we just saw. It is so far better than season 1. It's so crazy. And I want people to understand because I tweet a lot about this show and talk about it a lot. When I have differences of opinions, it doesn't mean that I don't like the show or I think a character is written wrong or I think like the what's the word I'm looking for? The creative around the show is wrong. I'm talking like specifically as if these characters were real people. Like if I saw somebody and I didn't like them, I don't like them. So if there's a character in here and I have a comment on them and it's negative, it's not indicative of the show. I always say this with all of my reviews. When you're watching a show and there's a character and you love that character, that's what the creators want. When you see a character and you hate that character, that's what the creators want. If there's a character on there and you don't even care when they're on screen, you don't even notice them, you don't like them, you don't dislike them, they're just there, that's when it's a poorly written character, unless it's a background character, because they just want you to have a feeling for these characters. So if I love a character and you don't, that's fine. But we both have feelings for them, and that's positive. So, like in season 1, I still don't really enjoy Izzy as a person, like in the show. But you get more perspective on his life in just 3 episodes of season 2. So even though I still think he's not a great person, at least we get some like backstory. But some people love him, and I guess that's okay too, you know? You have a feeling for him. So I'm just going to go through this list that I have really quick, just so whoever's here um, can talk about what they think, because I really love like funneling ideas to you and hearing you guys respond, and then just responding to your questions and your comments. I'm not great at putting my own thoughts together. Sometimes in my videos, I'm not good at it either. Oh, and one more thing I want to say is um, obviously, everyone who's been with me for over a year now knows that I won't say great, I'll say pretty damn good at gendering. So, like, if I don't know what someone's gender is, I tend to look it up. Like, we all know Jim is they. And when I talk, like on Twitter, if I'm talking to you in real life, I'm really good in conversation of remembering that. But sometimes when I'm doing like a reaction video and I'm talking fast and I'm watching something, I don't like forget their gender or what they use as their pronouns. Like I just say the wrong thing sometimes because, to be honest, when I do these things, I'm still nervous, but I don't misgender anyone on purpose or for malice. It's me just talking fast, I guess. And it might not be an excuse, but when I do my videos, sometimes I do say the wrong thing and then I'll stop and kind of record that part over. And then in post, I'll edit it back so it's correct. But sometimes I might miss it and it might show up in a video. And I just don't want people thinking that I do it maliciously. Um, I try my best. And Jim is one of my favorite characters. Let's see. Miss Julia. Hey, Miss Julia. Yes, I was like my same thought with Archie. Mm. Okay. So let me just run through this list really quick. Um, I'm not going to go into too much detail while I'm going through it, just thoughts, and then we could all talk. And I tried to put in some sort of order, and it's like really, really condensing the first 3 episodes. So the intro I think was perfect. Um, they kind of try to make us think that Steed is actually having a sword duel with Izzy in the beginning, but you knew that wouldn't happen. He wouldn't have even had enough training to be able to best him in a duel unless it was like a flash forward. But we realized it was just Steed's dream. Literally, he was dreaming that he was getting revenge on Izzy for everything that happened or everything that Steed thought Izzy did in season 1. And he kills him. But when he does kill him, because Izzy has like that trademark, he calls everyone a fucking twat. So it was hilarious that on his dying breath in the dream, he calls him that. Like that was hilarious. Um, so that was a really, really good way to open this season, coming from Steed's mind. So I have Ed seems to be massacring and pillaging at random for fun. So as we know, they have plenty of treasure, right? So we see what Ed is doing. They kind of showed like Tuesday, the day before, the day before. So they're showing like every day they're pillaging and taking over ships. And when you think of pirates, that's what pirates do. Like when they're on the seas, they try to steal coins and stuff like that. But the thing that makes this even worse is when you find out that when the crew is like, "Oh, we got so much gold or so much riches and wealth, like can we keep some for, because we're going to be going on another one." And Izzy's like, he doesn't even say it excitingly. He just says it because it's true. It's what Ed wants them to do. They have to throw it overboard because all Ed wants to do is pillage. So they don't need it. They have so much. I'll just call it gold, because there's so many words for it. I'll just say it's so much gold that it's too heavy for the ship, so they have to throw it overboard. Like that's when you know you've gone off the deep end. Like that's too much. You're just pillaging just for the fun of it. Like that's crazy. And in the trailer, I mean, we see the wedding, and I really didn't think anything of it, I guess. But we see that it's just an innocent ship. Like it's not even a pirate ship, and he killed all those people. Like that dude is messed up, and they really stamp him as being like a monster right now, and it's the writing is great. Um, let's see. I gotta move this over here. I really can't see it. Do love the dream. Izzy's last words. Even in Steed's power fantasy, Izzy had to get the last word in. See, like I don't think of things like this. You guys do, so I love reading it. Yeah, I said the crew was confused by them having to toss all the gold overboard. So the thing that they did, which I was very happy to see, is they call out the toxic atmosphere on the ship. And the funny thing is Izzy, even though he is like pirate to the bone, like he wanted Blackbeard back, after season one, but he wanted the Blackbeard that he knew back. Like he didn't want this one back. Like this isn't what he wanted because he always talks about the pirate code, and I'm assuming the code is you don't just take over innocent ships and pillage them. Like I'm not a pirate, but I have a feeling that might be one. So for Izzy to be the one to go to Blackbeard, and I said this a lot, as much as I don't really like Izzy as a person, he's never, to me anyway, like lied or shied away from stating how he feels. Like in season one, we all saw how he like talks shit to Blackbeard to Ed in his face. Like when he's unhappy, he tells him. So it was good that he was the one that went to Ed, like, listen, this isn't good. Like this is messed up. The crew is not enjoying this. I think we need to stop. And Ed's like, all right, let's go ask the crew. So let's see what else I have. Yeah, so Ed comes out, he questions the crew, and they're too scared to tell the truth, and they all lie, and they say everything is fine, and that's kind of messed up because, and I just thought of this now, not even when I watched it. Izzy took this upon himself, like he knows that Ed is off the wall, and he still went to him to tell him because he really does show concern for his crew because again he goes by the code. And then when he comes out and Ed asks them, like, they don't have the balls to back him up, like, that's kind of messed up. Like, this guy just put his neck out for you, and you're too scared to, like, back him up. That kind of messed with me. Um, let's see. Basically, Ed's taking everyone he sails with or comes across on his big damn spiral. Yes, exactly. Taking them along with him on a spiral into the depths. I mean, yeah, he is. Like, he's definitely spiraling, and it's a shame. So, yeah, I kind of did feel bad for Izzy in that moment. I kind of always feel bad for people that do something for other people, and then they kind of, like, don't back them up. Like, that's just messed up to me. And then because of this, obviously, he wants he shoots Izzy in the leg, so that's how we figure out he loses his leg, not because of gangrene, like I thought. And we also find out that Ed's been just randomly chopping off his toes whenever he's upset, so he's really torturing his first mate, and he makes Frenchie his first mate. One thing that I totally forgot was I have, because my note says since Steed gave up his money, he has to be a real pirate now. I totally forgot at the end of season one, he didn't take any of his money with him. So this is actually another great plot for me to when I do a rewatch is Steed has to be a real pirate now. Before he was just a rich guy with a ship and a crew that he paid, which I actually commend him for because pirates don't get paid. That's why I was so kind of, I guess, confused in the pilot where they wanted to mutiny him, but Olawande is the only one who's like, why do you want to do this? Like, he's not a bad guy and he pays us. That's why I feel like Olawande is the only perfect character. I love him. So, with no money and no ship, they got to go to Spanish Jackie's and beg her for like a job and someplace to stay, which is kind of funny because of that battle that they had there last season. But, she says, yeah, why not? You guys could stay here and work and you could sleep, but you have to give me something. And what do they give her? They give Spanish Jackie the Swede, which turns out eventually will become her next husband. And I was kind of not confused, but saddened by this because he is a part of the crew, and they just gave him away. He seems like he is enjoying it there for now, even though like when he talks, you can't really get the sense that he does. He might, but did they do that because the actor wasn't like available for the season? Because pretty much we're never going to see the Swede again unless he's going to be like a Deus Ex Machina at the end and he's going to save the day out of nowhere. But if that doesn't happen and we don't go to Spanish Jackies again, do we not see the Swede? Like, I don't know. You guys would know obviously because you keep up with behind the scenes stuff. Um, let's see. Matelia says sucks to base one's entire identity and self value on anyone or anything that isn't actually oneself. True. Raven says I figure he'll be back eventually. I feel like he has to be, but it if he's not, I guess they wrote it in a way that we can't question it. They'll have to go back for some reason. I feel like in the trailer, I think Steed or I don't remember who says it. Says we have to prepare because they're coming. So I feel like there's going to be a war, like not just little pirate battles, but a fallout war between maybe two or three factions. And you're right, maybe they go to Spanish Jackies because they want her to like fight with them. So that would make sense. Let's see. So yeah, they give her the Swede. And then at the end, obviously, she double crosses them and is like, listen, we actually need to be paid for this. So she has that list of like, you know, things that they have to pay for. Like the room with the view was extra money. And she's like, you guys actually owe me money. So long story short, they find out she has indigo, which is worth a lot of money. So they need to steal it. And they sneak in because it's the Swede's turn to do his husbandly duties at night. And they almost get away with it, but they get caught. And I don't want to mispronounce her name. I think it's Zheng Yi Sao shows up, and she's not just a soup merchant. She is an amazing pirate queen. And I did some research. I looked her up, and apparently she is one of the most decorated pirates of all time. I only saw one article, so I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but apparently she is one of the, I guess, best, might not be the best way to put it, but one of the greatest pirates of all time. And it's funny because her husband was a pirate and she took over the crew because he fell overboard. So did she kill him? Maybe, but that's what I read. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Matelia says, I'm kind of figuring he'll be back too, like Geraldo, though I hopefully not to die like Geraldo. Raven of Frozen says, oh, the Pirate Queen will be after them. I think that's 50-50 whether she actually has any real power, but she definitely has a reason to be mad. I do think that crew will be after them, but then there's the dude with no nose, and I thought they were putting him out to be like the main villain of this by the trailers. So maybe it's like a three-way. In a show like this, I can't be sure anyone is who they say they are. That's true. It could be like one of those things where she's the face of the ship, but her first mate is actually the pirate queen. But for now, I feel like it's her because her acting, going from sweet to like flipping the switch when she got double crossed. Oh man, I was scared. Let's see. Oh wait, Materia says yes. She's one of the few who lived to old age after an exceedingly successful career. That's really cool. I also enjoy how she didn't even live. I think she lived hundreds of years either before or after Blackbeard. But I love how it's just, you could use, it's like the MCU or like Marvel. You could use any character, any pirate. Who cares? Put them in the same universe. Doesn't matter. Let's see. Yeah, they get caught and she basically pays for the crew. And now it's her crew. And this takes me to my favorite part. Like, usually I wait till the end to be like, what's your favorite part of the episode? And since I have to run through this, I'm saying it now. It might be everyone's or a lot of people's. The return of the king, what I like to call it, because when I do reaction videos, I'm a very monotone person, so I do react to things, but when Lucius came on the screen, I couldn't hold it in. I think that was the perfect way to introduce him. It was great because in all of my like trailer reactions or my thoughts, I was thinking like how could they actually get him back? And I said, "Oh, probably not episode 1. That wouldn't make sense. Like how could they like it'd be impossible to find him in one episode." And I was like, "Okay, the way they have the episodes spaced, maybe the end of episode 3. So we get a little tease of Lucius, and then we have to wait an entire week to get episodes with him. And then we have 5 no. Oh yeah, we only have there's 8 episodes now. So we had 3. We would have 5 episodes with Lucius. But dude, I'm so like lost that when she said we very rarely have males on this crew, but we have one here, I didn't even think of Lucius because I didn't think we were going to see him this soon. And he walks in, and everyone is like like everyone's reaction was my reaction. That was so cool. I was so happy, and I was so shocked. Um, and then they're out on the ship, and they're talking about what happened, and Lucius tells him that he fell overboard, and it's funny because Black Pete is like, "Babe, you're so like." He didn't use the word stable, but he's like, "You're so balanced. Like you would never fall overboard." And I'm like, "They're so cute. Like they love each other. That's amazing." And then Steed is kind of talking a little bit about Ed, glowingly as always, and you could tell Lucius is furious. And in my head, I'm like, "Lucius, you better not." Hold this back from him just to like spare his feelings. So I was so glad that he finds Steed talking and clears the room to be like, dude, I didn't fall. Like your little boyfriend pushed me over the friggin' edge of the ship. And I like this also because a lot of times shows will, and I don't consider this spoon feeding, but a lot of times there's context clues of things that are happening that you could hold on to. But I think they did a good job of kind of telling us things typically that you wouldn't, and it works because Lucius was basically like, I would consider that torture, pushed overboard into the ocean, not knowing if you're going to live. You don't even know if he could swim. I don't even remember if I know he was the only one who could read. I never remembered if they said he could swim or not. I'm assuming if you're a pirate, you should know how to swim. But like he could have died there, but he also then they're conversing about the wanted poster, and this is a thing. Lucius lists all the things that he witnessed Ed Blackbeard do to everyone, horrible things, because Steed still sees him as like an angel. So he basically lists off all the things that your angel has done, right? And then also we know that he's wanted. Like if you're a wanted pirate, you're not a good like pirates aren't great, but if you're wanted, you're I don't know, doubly not great. But usually it's as you see the wanted poster. Wanted this person for whatever, murder, treason, theft. But all one day's like, dude, this guy's got a backside to his wanted poster telling us like he's been horrible like for since the end of season 1. And Steed is still like, "Oh, he's still my baby boy." Like you really need to sit down with yourself and get these feelings in check. Let's see what else we got. Do, 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 do. Where was I? Okay, Metelia says yes. She was later in the 18th century. Okay, Miss Julia. Hey, Miss Julia. I was screaming when he returns. I didn't watch my reaction video. I don't think I screamed, but I was very, very happy. I kind of think there were giant waves of screaming starting when the first viewers made it to that point in the episode drop. Oh man, it'd be cool if someone puts together like a reaction video where they just paste everyone's reaction from that point. Yep, Return of the King. Okay, so where am I? Do do do. All right. So I have Ed discovers Izzy's actually alive and goes even more off the deep end and tries to kill the entire crew. Okay, yeah, so he made Frenchie his first mate, but to succeed, is that the word? Succeed? I don't, to become a first mate, you have to kill the old first mate. And he lies to him. He says he slit his throat, but Blackbeard goes, down below and finds Izzy there, basically dying, and he feels like he has to do it himself. But then he tells Izzy like he had this dream that he killed him, so he gives Izzy the gun to shoot Ed in the head. But I knew he wasn't going to do it. Like Izzy really loves Blackbeard, and he doesn't want him dead. He just wants him like reformed, basically. So he doesn't do it, and he says that line, "Do it." He's like, "Do it your fucking self," or something like that. And Ed's not going to do it himself. So then he expects Izzy to kill himself, and we hear the gunshot, but we know by the trailers Izzy lives, so we know he doesn't kill himself. But that was such a powerful scene to me. Like the actors in this show are amazing. Let's see. Yeah, so after this, he goes back up, and I don't know if it was immediately right now, but I know really starts going crazy, and he's like turns the wheel of the ship to the right to try to like put them into like this crazy storm that's going. And he's like, oh, the odds of us surviving this are like 10% or 20% or something. And then he's like, but like to make it even lower, I could just shoot this cannonball at the mast and we'll definitely all die. Like he's so spiraled. He's trying to murder like his whole crew. Like they're spelling it out for us that this guy is not a good guy. Like Blackbeard before Steed was a legend, not because he was kind. That's not why Blackbeard was a legend. Then he had his couple of weeks of fun time, and then he just felt like he was dumped and spiraled into something worse. So it's funny because the battle in season one between Izzy and Steed wanted Ed, like the Ed that he knew for that couple of weeks or couple of months. Like he only wanted that guy with him side by side so they could pirate together. And Izzy wanted Blackbeard back. And the irony is, as much as I don't like Izzy, think you have to think of it as their jobs are pirates. Like transport yourself back then. He just wanted the old Blackbeard back. Like Izzy did not want this version of Blackbeard. So it's kind of like a sad story for everyone. Yeah, and not only does he pull the ship into the storm, then he wants the crew to fight to the death. Like I don't know if David Jenkins, the creator, if he wants Ed to be redeemed, he's not doing a great job of it because every episode he's making Ed do something worse than the last. Like, how do you just put that behind you? Like, oh, I miss Ed. He was the love of my life. And I'll forget that he tried to murder my family, aka the revenge crew. Like it's kind of hard. That's really, really hard. Um, let's see. I mean, Ed is Steed's first romantic love, and assuming he loves his children in any capacity, perhaps only his third real love of his life. Yes, the shot from Izzy's sick bed is definitely a spot I wish I hadn't seen any spoilers from the trailers. Raven says, I think he was trying to provoke the crew into killing him. Oh yeah, I do think that, but I feel like again, and this would all have had to happen off screen. So I'm not trying to say I'm a genius. I'm just trying to have fun here. I would think that Izzy, because he goes by the code, would have had a conversation with the crew that you really can't do that. I mean, you can, but we saw what happened when they didn't even kill him. They just got rid of him because he was being like ridiculous. But oh, that's another question I have for you all since I'm bringing this up. They wanted to kill the crew of the Revenge because they mutinied their captain. Like is mutiny considered, I don't want to say illegal, but is it like the worst thing you could do? Or was it because technically Steed and them belong to the red flag? So another ship taking over? I was confused, like why they had to die for mutinying Ed. Like that's the part I don't understand. And I'm not saying I don't understand it because it doesn't make sense. I don't understand it because I'm an idiot. So we'll get that clear. Let's see. Where else? Okay, this is just like a random note. I love that Jingi falls in love with Olawande, but I want Olawande to be with Jim only. I've always wanted them just to be an amazing couple together. Um, that whole story of how uh, Zheng says that Olawande used to be the break in her day. Like she's just there selling soup and it's busy. And he would come along and she loved it. Like that was super romantic. And I love that. And it was kind of confusing for me because that was so genuine. And I was like, this is beautiful. But then I'm thinking about Jim. And my feelings are at this point, Jim and Olu might not know the other is alive. So you kind of have to move on. And in the world of piracy, I don't think there's a big deal with people sleeping around. That's probably what they did back then. So Jim, doing whatever they want to do is fine. I liken Olawande to like a time traveler. I said it in one of my videos where he's like from present time and he was pulled to the past because I don't think he could be like a multiple woman or multiple person guy. I think he wants to settle down with one person. I think he's the only person in the show that would be monogamous. And you could disagree, but that's how I feel about Olawande. Like I have rose colored glasses when it comes to him. Let's see. Um, so Matelia says, I think that was the red flag ships thing to keep crew in line. That makes sense because I don't think they really said anything. It was just they did this, they have to die. So I figure, yeah, you're probably right. Raven of Rosa says, in real life answer, they needed the crew to be in danger for them to escape. And story answer, it's probably not a great idea to keep people who are willing. Oh, you see, the simplest answers go over my head. Yeah, if they mutinied that dude, what are they going to do to me? They'll probably mutiny me. That makes total sense. I love you guys. Okay, so where am I? I have the red flag comes across the revenge. Okay, so this was another great scene, another great part of the show where I was happy that because they did this really quick, like 3 episodes in, they met with the revenge and got Lucius back. Usually, when shows do this, they rush it and it's terrible, but this was perfect. But the only thing that kind of got me upset is she said, we came across a new ship, blah, 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 and they're all there. And she goes, oh, the ship's name is the Revenge. Like, Steed's first thought really should have been the crew. I was just like disappointed in him that all he's thinking about is Ed. Like, I understand they're kind of writing him like a child. Like, when you're a kid and you have a love, you, I remember I was like, I wasn't even a kid. I wasn't like 30. I think I was like 19 or 20. And I was like heartbroken for months. And that's all I used to think about. But I didn't have responsibilities back then. I was basically just in school. So what responsible? I didn't have any bills. Like I didn't have people I was responsible for. And it was just like, yeah, okay, I know you want to get back to Ed, but dude, your crew is there. You haven't, who knows how long you haven't seen them. Like they were you became a pirate and you hand chose this crew. Like that's your family. So that kind of disappointed me a little bit. Um, so yeah, then we have, yeah, Zhang has the revenge crew hold up ready to kill them because her first mate smelled the mutiny, which was funny because she's definitely a witch if she could lick blood and see all that stuff, which I don't have it on my notes, but it sounds like Buttons is a witch too. Not only can Buttons talk to seagulls, but the banter between him and I'm sorry, I don't remember her name, the red flag's first mate. Like she sounded like she was kind of worshiping him. Like he might be the king of witches. I don't know. Um, so yeah, they're holed up, ready to kill him. Funny how Steed chloroforms the guard. He says, "Oh my god, lavender." I think he says it's a lavender scent, but it's chloroform basically. And he releases the crew. As they're escaping, they break the wheel of the red flag so they can't chase them, which was a perfect touch because these are little things that people would complain about. You know it. If they just escaped and they're like, what's the big deal? They're just in ships, they'll follow them. Well, they don't have a wheel now. So that was a nice little detail. Um, yeah, then we have Olawande still on the red flag. And I was kind of nervous that they were going to leave him since they had left what's his name? The Swede with Spanish Jackie. I was like, are they just going to leave Olawande here? And they have to recruit someone to go save him. And I was so happy that it was Jim. Like, Jim is the one that needed to do it. That was perfect reunion. So happy. So Jim goes back to rescue Olawande. And then they have that cute little conversation. Now, this is what made me a little bit sad. And you guys could tell me what you all think. They're sitting there, and the thing that actually made me happy was Jim was honest and said, listen, I kissed someone else. And all one, they didn't get mad. He was just like, oh, who was it? I think he even guessed who it was. So Jim says, yeah. And she let me see her boobs. Like, that was pretty funny. She's like, she let me see both of them. And that was kind of funny. But Jim says, I needed to tell you this to be honest because you're my best friend. And I'm wondering in that situation, does Jim feel like they're not romantically involved with Olawande anymore and they're truly just best friends? Because that would make it, well, that would kind of screw Olu because I don't think there's any going back to the red flag in that romance because that she's trying to catch the revenge to kill them all. I don't know if she's going to want to spare Olu just because she had feelings for him. As we saw, she was very calm in the beginning, but now she's enraged. So we don't know. But I just want to know what you guys think about Jim and Olu. Do you think that meant that Jim really just wants Oluwande as their like best friend and not romantic partner? Or do you think Jim just wants multiple partners? Let's see. Mm-mm-mm. The Canonical talking to the seagulls, and also Jenkins comments on Nairn's Twitch that who knows if Buttons is even human. That would be a cool, a supernatural twist. Leaving the Swede seemed as much Swede's choice as anything. I mean, I don't really think the Swede had an option. Spanish Jackie said, I believe she said, you need to give me something. They offered him up. I don't think even if he said no, he would have been allowed to leave. It's kind of like you're forcing someone to do something and eventually they enjoy it. It's still not nice, you know? But I get it. Jim may just be not taking Olu for granted there. I think it's intentionally ambiguous, and we'll have to wait until the rest of the episodes come out to see how it resolves. I really, I just want them to be happy because for the millionth and first time, Olawande is my favorite character, and that is my favorite relationship. Only because you saw that they were before they were anything, before they even kissed, you could tell that Jim and Olawande were really close. I believe Ola was the only one who knew Jim's secret that they were wearing prosthetics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he could have exploited that, but he didn't. Like, that was just amazing. I think my second favorite relationship is Lucius and Black Pete. The show is, at its heart, a rom-com. The will they, won't they is an integral part of the genre. Excuse me. That makes sense, and it's a crazy rom-com because there's multiple romances going on, so it's awesome. Let's see. Where did I go? Okay, so after Jim and Olawande are talking, we get the scene, and I don't know if it's right after, but Steed is on the ship. and Izzy comes out. Now, this was another thing that kind of got me a little upset. Now, I understand I don't like Izzy. Like, that's fine. I haven't liked him since the first season. I don't think he's a good person, for whatever reason. Okay, I'm not here to talk about that, but I try to when I watch things, I try to take a little bit of real life out of it or my experiences. And I know it's fiction, but in real life, I try to think of who is someone that I don't really like. Or if there isn't anyone that I don't like and they don't like me, let me imagine a situation where we butt heads, we fight, we have animosity. I don't want to see that person or anything, right? So something happens, and for whatever reason, I have to do something nice for that person, right? And they have the courage to come up to me, someone that I don't like and they don't like me. They come up to me, and I don't like to use this term because it's really gender specific, but it's when you say like be a man, when someone, oh, be a man and do this. It's just it's a term. I can't think of anything else to say, but since they're pirates and it was hundreds of years ago, fine. Izzy was being a man, went to Steed and said, "Thank you for saving my life." And I thought it was really disrespectful and childish for Steed to ignore him. Now, you could say he didn't deserve a "you're welcome," but I'm thinking in the sense of these are men, like they're grown ass men, men who have seen murder, men who have killed, men who are so misogynistic sometimes, men who don't want to say thank you or apologize or anything. And especially Izzy, of all of the people in the show, Izzy's the one who swallowed his pride to say thank you to the guy he wants to kill, and he just walks away. I'm like, I feel like all Steve, there was two options in my mind. He could have just said, "You're welcome," and walked away without looking at him. Or he could have said something like, and I'm paraphrasing, like in these words, like, "I didn't save you because I like you," or "I didn't save you because I wanted to. You just happened to be there." Like that would have worked better for me. Like, I still don't like you. I wasn't even trying to save you. You just happened to be there when I did it. And so after that, I'm just like, in that exchange, Izzy comes off as more of a human being than Steed does. But that's just my opinion. Raven says, yeah, Steed is childish and single minded. I think he's supposed to be making you a little mad right now. Presumably, he will grow as the person over the rest of the season. That's the thing that conflicts with me is growth when adults do childish things like that. It's like they're already adults. Like Ed has been Blackbeard for years. Sometimes I fall into a trap of just looking at this show as all of the canon. Like, oh, Ed was Blackbeard for half an episode. Like he wasn't. Ed was Blackbeard for years. Like he was a pirate for years and years and years. And he was quote unquote Ed, nice Ed, for what? A month? But we see in the series that for half of season one he was nice Ed. So I'm like psychologically tricked to thinking he's changed, where in the course of his life, this is probably a 40-year-old man who's had a couple of months of being nice, and we don't really watch it that way because we only see from episode one to where we are. So a lot of people, it's like, oh, he could just go back to being nice Ed again. Like, can he? That wasn't who he was his whole life. He's never been that until now. And I'm not saying he can't be. I'm just saying, in general, for me at least, sometimes I'm just like jaded by a series because I'm thinking about it in the context of the episodes, right? Not of there is canon that's happened 30 years before this show even started. You know, I saw some people saying that Izzy says in the show, "I know you better than anyone." And then some people are like, that's probably not true. Excuse me. They're not arguing, they're discussing that it's probably not true. And they're like Steed knows Ed better than anyone because of that section of 5 episodes where they fell in love. And I'm like, that is wrong. Like, if you know, and I'm not saying I've known people for 20 years that I don't really know. They're not my friends. I just know them. But Ed and Izzy were inseparable for, I'm going to assume, at least 20 years. I'd probably say even longer than that, 30 years. Like, on the same ship, living together for 30 years. There's no way in hell Steed knows Ed better than Izzy. And that's something where I'll just say is not an opinion. Like, that's a fact. But let's see. Matalea says sometimes just walking away is all one can manage in order not to say something that makes things worse. It's true, but I don't, there's nothing he could have said to, like, I don't think anything he would have said would have been worse. Like, Izzy knows what's going on. Steed wasn't going to start a fight. He could have said F you. I just think that wasn't an instance. I think Izzy right now is broken and he's not even thinking about like fighting anyone. Like, he literally is taking responsibility for his part of the actions because he wants to fix something, right? And Steed doesn't see that yet. Steed just wants his boyfriend back right now, and Izzy wants to fix things in my mind. And it's so weird that they have me like defending Izzy, but I'm not like defending his actions. I'm just defending this one specific thing that I'm taking out of these 3 episodes is that everything happened. Izzy is taking the responsibility that part of this is his fault because he wanted Blackbeard back. You got him, but you got Blackbeard times 1,000. Ravenous says nature versus nurture at its finest. Was Ed a monster because that's who he is at his core, because he had to be to survive? That's tough because murder is murder. Like, are you a murderer because you need food? You're still a murderer, you know? It's hard for me to reconcile savages and killers and pillagers, and but again, everything is about context of the show, and they always say like pirates become pirates because they need to survive. So it's similar to, not, it's not similar, but if you're homeless, you need to eat, so you go to a store and you steal bread. That is technically wrong. It's technically against the law, but you have to do that to survive, right? So I don't ever judge anyone who's struggling and starving who goes to a store to steal a shirt or steal a food or a meal for the kids or themselves. Like, I would never judge that person. But if someone is hungry and their thought is, I'm going to go to this deli, I'm going to kill the guy behind the counter and take all the food, then I'm like, no, that's not the same. You like what we do in the shadows, right? Those vampires are murdering everybody too. Technically, it's fine, but they clearly don't value human life, and we think that's funny. I don't see that as real, though. Like, I watch that, and it's like, I don't. The only character in that show I like is Guillermo, pretty much. Like, when I watch the show, like, okay, I think Ed is horrible. I still want him to get back with Steed. Like, in the context of the show, I want that. I'm trying to talk about like the people in the show, the way they see things. Like, Izzy sees that it's fucked up and wants to fix it. Steed is delusion because he wants his boyfriend back. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. In Shadows, they're murdering people. My favorite character is Guillermo. He doesn't like it. Like, he wants to be a vampire, but he can't do the vampire shit, right? He's not with them because he thinks what they're doing is right. He still does it, but he feels bad. So technically, even though I love Guillermo, he has killed for them or hid bodies. So he's not a great person either, you know? So you're right in that aspect, but I don't see the vampires as like heroes or anything. I guess, if that's what I'm saying. That's what they have to do to survive because they're vampires. So, and I'm not, this isn't an excuse, it's just a thought. If there was a world with vampires and for whatever reason, all they could live on was human blood, like that's nature versus nurture. Like that's literally it because that is their human, not human, that is their DNA. Their nature is they have to do that. Like a lion, they kill other lions, they kill other animals because that's how they have to eat. If a human goes into a desert or something with a wild animal, the wild animal is going to kill them because that's in their nature. A human just killing people, that's not in our nature, I guess, is what I'm saying. But the point is not me like judging them. It's the characters and their thought process, I guess. Because like we've seen for the most part, the first season, the one who's usually kind of like, what's the word? Not thick headed would have been Steed. Like the crew, like he picked his crew because like he didn't pick pirates. He picked like a ragtag bunch of people and paid them to be his crew. Like the first time he took over a ship, he stole a plant. Like he he was having fun, you know. And I'm not getting this across well, I don't think, but I don't want to like harp too much on it. It's just one man's opinion on a particular scene. The way I saw it is that a person, Izzy, who is also a bad person and has done tons of bad stuff in his life. It's just a like the writing is so good that he's the one who just sat and had a moment like, what have I done? You know? Like he's the one. Of all the characters, if someone told you there's going to be a realization moment and someone's going to sit down and say, what the hell did I just do? No one would pick that it was Izzy. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Um, do. And then what do we have? That whole scene, and I know I don't have too much time now, so I don't want to gloss over this like I don't think it's important. But that Ed in Purgatory scene was both funny and enlightening because depending on your age and watching movies, you probably knew it was happening. Um, but it's the, you know, you're me, I'm you. If I hate you, then I hate myself. Basically, realizing that you feel like no one can love you, basically. And obviously, it's sort of a trope. They've done it many places. I'm not here complaining about it. But like I said, it depends on how old you are, if you've ever seen it before, if you haven't. But it was done so good here. It kind of reminded me of like Davy Jones's locker because I didn't know what the hell was going on. At first, I thought it was real. I thought that's where he was because um, they told everyone that they knocked him out and left him on the ship, on the shore, you know? So it was really creative that in Ed's head, that's where he was on the shore. So we're watching it and we're like, oh, they told us this is what they did. Oh, here he is. But again, they lied. They didn't do that. He was in the ship all the time. So that was cool. Um, yeah, the scene of him fighting with himself to choose life or death kind of reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Similar thing happened with Rocket when he was about to die, but his was different. His was like, actually, it was probably the same. It was both like a purgatory. Ed was battling with himself in another form. Rocket was seeing his friends who had died earlier and them telling him, like, you have more to live for. You have to go. So it was a little bit different. That was someone telling Rocket he needed to live, whereas Ed having to tell himself that he needs to live. But it was really well done. The cinematography was dope. It was like bluish. It was really cool. And yeah, we got that shot of him tied to the rock and being dumped in the ocean. So they got that out of the way quick because I was kind of worried about that. I thought, like everyone else, that he was going to try to kill himself, but luckily he wasn't. Then we get Steed the Merman. Another, I think this was my second biggest reaction when I saw him. It's funny that in Ed's, I don't know if you want to call it a dream because he's almost dead. So in his consciousness, he sees Steed as this cute, lovable mermaid, which is kind of funny because everything we've seen from him so far in these 3 episodes wouldn't lead me to believe that he was still thinking about Steed. But again, when you have breakups, it doesn't matter how you act on the outside. The how you feel on the inside is different. So we're seeing that as much as he says he hates Steed, he doesn't want to see him. He's still thinking about him, and that helps Ed wake up. And I know we've seen a lot more in the trailers of Ed ignoring Steed, so I feel like he'll be happy to see him, but I think they're going to have to fight together for whatever battle is coming before they could reconcile their romance. And as much as I would love for them to get back together romantically this season, I feel like they're not going to. I think they're going to fight together. Like they'll come to speaking terms. They're going to have to fight together. And maybe at the end of the season, like the last episode, we get like a cliffhanger because this show is too good to not get a third season. And that's the thing with this show is the first season was so good, it struggled to get a second. Like you all had to bully them to get a second season. And now this season's even better. And are we going to have to like bully Warner Brothers to do a third season? Because you can't just, for the sake of like writing a story, you can't think like we might be canceled. I have to get them back together as soon as possible. Because I don't think that's telling the story that David Jenkins wants to tell. In his mind, he has this story planned out. Maybe it's 5 seasons, and he can't be scared to write his show saying I have to put something that I wanted in season 5 into season 2 because 5 might not be made. You know what I mean? So that's the only reason why, because I think there's a bigger plan. Let's see. Matalea says, oh, sorry, I think I missed a few. Okay, suspending disbelief in terms of what we would consider moral in favor of the morality of the world of the show. Honestly, I kind of love how Izzy is actively trying to take responsibility for his poor decisions. I think it's one of the best plot points of the series because I would have never, I would have never thought he would do that because he's like pirate, 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 pirate to the bone. He wanted like I would have never thought there would be a version of Blackbeard that Izzy wouldn't want, but when that version is off the rails and just trying to like torture people, then that's a little different. I love the end of episode 3 mirroring episode 3 of season 1. I hope. Oh, please explain that because I don't remember episode 3 of season 1. Matt Talea, message to death versus awakening back to life. Oh, massaged. Wait, yeah, massage to death. Massage to death versus awaken back to life. What am I missing here? He said on multiple occasions that he sees it ideally as 3. Yeah, so if it's going to be 3 seasons, I think a full season of them, because as I always said, season 1, they did the thing of them getting together, having fun, and breaking up. And I thought if they did that in season 2, it would be too much of a rehash of season 1 to, oh, they have to get back together. You know, like as much as I want to see that right now, I don't. So I hope they rekindle like their friendship first because of war or something. Like they have to save each other's lives. Like Steed reluctantly saved Izzy's life. I feel like that might mirror something later where Steed saves Ed's life again. End of 1-3, Steed gets. Oh, that's right. Ed actively dying wakes him up because Steed is calling to him. Damn. It's funny, like I didn't forget that happened. I just forgot that it was that episode. Yeah, that makes total sense. It's the massage to death by mermaids thing that Ed said. Oh, damn. See, this is why I like having these YouTube lives because I don't know what the hell is going on, and I forget a lot of things, and you all always, you know, you're always teaching me. So that's all I have as far as my damn, where did this thing go? as far as my notes. I know I missed a ton, and then we're already an hour in, and I only have an hour dedicated to this, so I can't really go too much longer. But I guess for whoever is still on, what was your favorite part of the first 3 episodes so far? Matt Talia says, I think Izzy's wake up call was realizing that Ed is working on Suicide by Pirate. It's also, you could say, it's all fun and games until he takes it out on you, right? Like, I could go to that side of the story where Izzy was happy when, like, Ed was doing this to other people, but when it's you and your crew. But one thing I have to say, though, as much as I didn't enjoy Izzy in season 1 and I thought he was a douche, that at least he does have a code. Like, I know pirates aren't the best people, but they do have their own code of conduct, like things you should do and shouldn't do. And I think they've really stuck to that in history. I read that they were some of the first people to have democracy. So if your code was, and I'm making this up, like you can't kill animals, and someone killed an animal, like you're done, from what I read. So um, it sounds like the pirate code is not to be messed with. A bunch of tough faves to choose from. There was. It's been perfect so far to me. And again, remember what I said. Just because I think Steed should have acted differently doesn't mean it's not good. It's just what I think should happen. So I just always like to get that clear, because sometimes online people argue that what they think is what should have happened, and because that it's not good. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I would have preferred that, but I'm not the writer of the show. So, yeah. But yeah, my favorite was definitely Lucius. I think it hit harder for me only because I personally thought we were going to see him in either episode 3, 4, or 5. Ravens of Roses says, I don't know if I could pick either. There's so much good stuff. Well, you don't have to pick right now. We have 2 more episodes next week. I'm going to try to get those videos out like this week, one Thursday, one Friday. And if you all want me to do another live, I'll do another live, because I love this. This is fun. Last year it was a lot. I think we did live rewatch parties. I did the whole series, I think, live. We did stuff in Discord. Like, it was fun. I really want to do that again. It's funny because I'm still growing on my YouTube, and I was like so close to 3,000. I think I hit 3,000 subs a couple of days ago, and it was definitely the Our Flag Means Death people that got me over, because once I started dropping those videos, I've people started subbing to me like crazy. So the fandom basically built my channel, to be honest. And I'm appreciative to everyone. I love having these conversations, and I just want them to be fun and productive, and I want everyone to be able to speak their opinions and have no one like critique them too much for them or call them names. It's all fun. We all want to see things. We don't all get what we want, so we can be disappointed in parts of a show or an episode, but that doesn't mean we don't love it all the same. Matt Talia says, enjoying this. I wasn't able to do any of the watch along. Oh, well, once this season is over, I don't know if it's going to be immediate, but I definitely need to watch it again, because last year I watched it, I reacted to it, and then I watched it on my own a second time, and then the third time I did watch alongs. And the funny thing is, I watched it 3 times and I still don't remember everything. So, what do I got? Oh, this. All right. So that's all the time I have. If you're in my Discord, we could talk about it there. You could comment on this live. You could comment on the videos. Twitter, I'm sure everyone has me. I love talking about this with you all. So just find me anywhere. And like, I can't wait till next Thursday. But if you're not, I could post the link to Patreon. Sorry, to Discord. It's free. It's just weird the way they set it up. You have to click a specific link. And then I have, chats for all the shows. And then I also have a section for fan fiction, but not a lot of people have posted in there lately. But it was really cool. Um, that's all I got. I'm hungry. I'm a little bit tired, so I gotta go. But thank you to everyone who's hopped on. I love doing this, so I really appreciate you all. See you during the week on Twitter or wherever. All right. Peace, guys. Enjoy your weekends.